My name is Nick Brown, founder of Cooking Physics, and I help professional chefs become inspirational leaders by focusing on their passion, their profession, and their personal development. Hey, I am so grateful that you are here. Man, has this been a week? It has been an amazing week. We are going to be talking about something that is at the top of every chef's dilemma, okay? What do you want to do? What is going on? What are the biggest frustrations that we have, or the biggest contradictions that we have? The biggest dilemmas? Family time, your outside time, your personal time versus your career time. Now, if you're like me and you absolutely love your family and you love getting out there and doing things with them, but you also know that you have to work, that you've got to provide for your family, that you've got to provide that money, that income. And it's also about that passion that you have of working, of being in the industry and really enjoying your life. So here's the dilemma: your family time versus your career time. Let's talk a little bit about this industry. This industry is not very conducive to the family, because when do people want to go out to eat? They want to go out to eat during the nights for their date night, or go out with their friends, their girlfriends, their guy friends, and they want to go out with their family and things like that. And they want to go out to eat during the evenings when everybody's together. They want to go out during the weekends when they've got their vacation, when they've got their little bit of time off. So what does that mean for us? That means that's the time that we work. Now, there are some people who manage to get those jobs that are more of a corporate job, not so much a corporate organization, but a corporate job where you're doing just lunch service within a corporation. That's becoming more popular. You may be the chef that is able to get the breakfast shift or the lunch shift, okay? And that may be great. For the majority of us chefs, it is an evening's job. Even if you do manage to get that lunch shift, you're usually coming in at the end of the lunch shift and then finishing off the night. So what is going on? It's a long hours. It's irregular. You don't really have the same schedule every single week, so it's hard to make plans because business levels go up and down based on reservations. It's a high stress environment that puts a lot of pressure on us. And it's constantly multitasking. It's constantly making those quick decisions, split decisions, because seconds count within this industry. And it's also the importance of making those high expectations of the customers, of the people we're serving. If we're going to be putting forth the best of what we are, we need to have those high expectations of ourselves, and the customers have that expectation of you. They want to make sure that every single dish, every single plate that they come in and they eat from you is spectacular, because we are dedicated to this craft. We are dedicated to making that happen, to making the meal, the food, everything absolutely amazing. And we want that consistency. We want that dedication of the people on our team. But the problem comes, like when last week I talked about that live to work or work to live. What exactly is it? Like, what is your focus? And if your focus is more on that career time, then great. But if your focus is more on the family time, then it makes it a little more difficult, because let's face it, it's not very helpful, or it doesn't mesh well with everybody else that's working in not meshing well with everybody else's schedules. Sorry about that. So what about the family time? What is the expectations that are put upon you from the society as far as the time that you should be spending with your family? And how do you deal with that conflict and that dilemma of the expectations of society and your ability to meet those expectations based on the career choice that you have made? let's go into that. What are some of these expectations? You know, with some of the expectations are with the family life is that we want to have it balanced. Okay, that's the expectation. And if you've watched some of my other videos, you know that I don't really enjoy that word balance, but that's what is expected. That you spend 8 hours with your personal time and your family time. You spend 8 hours at work, and then you're supposed to spend 8 hours sleeping. Okay, and so if you have to work 12 hours, where does that extra 4 hours come from? Does it come from your sleep? Does it come from your family? Where does that come from? And then all of a sudden you're no longer at balance because not each one of them has 8 hours, and you feel like you're failing as a person. Okay, struggling to attend those family events. Those always happen in the evenings. They happen and during the weekends. Holidays. I mean, come on. Holidays are one of the busiest times within this industry. You may be lucky and get a job that actually is like, you know what? I don't want to deal with the holidays, so we're going to be off during those times. But I've always worked in the hotel industry. I've always worked with hotels. I enjoy working with hotels. And you don't get that time off because you're in a hotel. You will work that time because everybody is in the hotel and they all need to eat. Then you've got the catering events and the banquet events and all those other kinds of things that happen. So having that time and struggling with that, the expectations of making sure that you have that relationship with your wife, with your spouse, with your children, okay, with your other friends. And then there's the whole part about the stress and being able to switch from the stress of the industry and to go home and to supposedly not have that stress impact your family life. It is difficult. Again, I've talked about that releasing of the stress and everything like that. That helps, but it still doesn't affect the fact that you're passionate about your work. And you are going to be worrying about it a little bit. How do you manage to completely remove that stress so that you can be 100% present with the family? And also, don't forget about the communication. The demands in the culinary field, the communication is very short. It is very direct. And if you try and use that kind of communication with your spouse, it doesn't go well. And you may like, oh, why can't things at the home be as simple as they are at work? You put the food in the pan, you saute it, and everything comes out like it should, right? But it doesn't. There are so many other factors that affect your relationships with your spouse and with your children, and making sure that you're nurturing that time with them is very, very important. So let me go over some of the things that I have learned that help maintain my marriage and my family. See, I've been married over 20 years. And I can tell you it has not been easy. It's been difficult. But as I've thought about it, I've come up with like 10 strategies that you can use to be able to maintain a good relationship with your spouse and with your children. Okay? The number one thing that I know helped me to maintain this and have this relationship with my spouse, with my wife, and my children is straight up dedication. Having that same dedication to the craft, to my passion, having that same dedication with that as I do with my wife and my family, that has been the number one thing. The second thing is my faith, my religion. Okay? Having that thing that is external, that it's not 100% just her and me, or me and the kids, and I'm just doing it for them. But no, I'm doing it for a larger purpose. I'm maintaining this relationship, even during hard times, for this larger purpose that is even bigger than my family. The other thing is knowing the pitfalls, going into it, knowing those pitfalls and starting to plan for them, make plans for them, make contingencies. I know that things are going to happen. All of a sudden, somebody's going to call in sick and you're going to have to go into work. Or somebody cuts their hand and you've got to come in and help out. Or you're the manager and you've got to cover somebody else's shift because of something happened. Things are going to happen. And you need to be able to have that contingency plan and know ahead of time what's going to happen. How are you going to make it through that? And are you going to, how do you put it? How are you going to talk with your spouse about what is going on so that they understand and they don't blame you for what's going on? Okay. And that goes to the next one, understanding the demands of the career and having support around you to be able to manage it. Because if your significant other does not understand the demands of the career, it becomes very, very difficult. What do you mean you can't have a holiday off? You work Thanksgiving and New Year's and Valentine's. Why can't you have Mother's Day off? Okay? And understanding the demands of that, what's going on with that, okay, is very, very important. So each one of us has these things that are going on in our lives, right? And with that, being able to make sure that they understand what is going on and how to mitigate those things that are going on will help you to maintain that marriage, maintain that relationships that you have with your spouse. The next one is that intentional effort to communicate positively and with respect towards one another. It is very easy to allow the stresses of your workday to translate into the way that you talk with your spouse, the way that you talk with your family, your patience that you have with them when you just get back from work. And being able to have that intentional, I'm going to talk with you with respect, with positivity, and I'm not going to let the other stresses influence the way that I talk with you. Understanding those, being intentional about it. Again, making that plan. How are you going to mitigate that? How are you going to avoid having that stress enter in? Another one that I have found is very important is your dedication to not get into the vices of alcohol and drugs. That kind of environment is rampant within the kitchen. It is very easy to access that stuff. It is very easy to go out with your friends after a busy night and go have a drink. But are you able to avoid those vices? Are you able to, if you do drink, to make sure that it does not affect your relationship in any way, shape, or form? If you are not able to kick back and not drink for like a month, if you wanted to, then you are beholden to that drink. And if you are, it's going to affect your life. It's going to affect what's going on around you. Okay? You need to be able to be in control of yourself at all times because this industry is stressful. And if you can't maintain control of yourself, you may not do it at work because it's visible to everybody and you may lose your job. But then when you go back to the home, it may come out there. The beast may come out there. So make sure that you are in control. Do not get into those drugs, into that alcohol, and make those turn into vices. The other thing, now this is something that's funny. I actually saw a shirt on this, and it was funny because my wife always says this. Your spouse needs to get into, you need to become comfortable with saying the phrase, yes, I'm still married. No, they are not here. Yes, they are working. I will see them later. That's why they're not here at this family event or this other event or with your friends or whatnot. Getting comfortable with saying that, although it's depressing, but just understanding and letting people know is like, no, we do still have a good marriage. And why do we still have a good marriage? Because of those previous things, the dedication, the understanding, the intentional effort to communicate. Now, here's where it comes very important. Make sure that you are planning those vacations. Make sure that you are planning those family times well in advance and sticking to your guns to make sure that that happens. Stuff happens in the restaurant industry all the time. There's never a weekend where it's like, oh, we're not going to need you. No. But you need to be able to stick to your guns and say, no, I'm going on this vacation. I can't tell you how many times that I've planned a vacation during the slow season. And it turns out that that vacation is the exact same weekend as a large event. And they say, well, are you sure you have to go? Yes, I am sure. This has been planned for a very long time. You have the staff. You knew about it. This isn't a last minute thing. We've known about it. We have the staff. We've been doing the training. Everybody knows their responsibility. I'm leaving. And I'm going to come back. And I know that you've got this. Okay? Planning that vacation, planning that family time, and being in advance, letting your employer know, letting your spouse know, letting your family know, I am going to go on this. And then saying straight up, no, I will not adjust this vacation because of an event, because there's lots of reservations, because X, Y, Z. Then there's also, with the communication, making sure that you're going on dates with your spouse, going on dates with your kids, taking that time, making them know, helping them know how much you love them, how much you appreciate them. Juggling that family time with those work expectations, with the career time, is difficult. And what I found is it's very difficult to find something that's going on a Tuesday. Not many people have stuff going on a Tuesday. And so the dates that we're on are a lot of times, fairly mundane. But they're important. They show how much you are dedicated to the family, how much you are dedicated to making sure that this works. And then the final thing is, make sure you give those surprise gifts, those surprise notes, texts, calls, and time off. Getting that stuff and making it a surprise, making that something special, figuring out what it is that the other person really appreciates, and making sure you do that as a surprise to them fairly often. That is how you begin to maintain this relationship. That is how I've maintained my marriage for 20 years. For 12 of those, about 12, 13 of years of that, as we started having kids, we've been working opposite schedules the entire time. We never really saw each other. I was always working weekends. She was always working the weekdays. I was always working nights. She was always working mornings. There was rarely a day where we would see each other for the entire 24 hours. And so making sure that I am very active in that. There were many, many days where I would see my spouse as she was waking up, heading to work, and she would see me as we were going to bed. Half the time, she was already asleep by the time I came home. So maintaining that dedication, maintaining that feeling of that religion, that bigger purpose. If you don't have the religion, have that bigger purpose beyond just you and your family. Have that bigger purpose. Knowing those pitfalls, understanding the demands of the career, being intentional in the communication that you have with respect and positivity, that dedication, and getting used to those phrases that, yes, we're still married. Oh, he's at work. Maybe he'll make it the next time. Yeah, maybe he'll make it the next time. Okay? Planning those time off, spending that time with the family, and being very diligent and persistent in maintaining that, in holding to those vacation times. Take going on those dates, and then finally, again, those surprise notes of appreciation and love. Those are the 10 things that I have found that have helped build up and maintain marriages within this industry. Let me tell you another stat. Did you know that the restaurant industry, food service industry, is one of the top 10 most divorce rates in the United States? Did you know that more than half of the marriages that happen within the industry end up in divorce? And did you know that about 2/3 of the people that work in this industry never even bother getting married because they know of those stats? They're not even going to bother with it. So if you're one of those that are married, know that the odds are stacked against you, but only because other people are not willing to put in the effort. If you put in the effort, make sure that communication is there. The understanding. Making sure that the love and appreciation you have for your significant other is there. Things will go so much better. The challenges that we face in this industry are immense, but I guarantee that it is possible. I know several chefs who have a happy and successful career as well as a happy and successful marriage. It is possible. Follow these steps and things will work out for you as long as you are dedicated to it. Next week, I'm going to be talking about what is chefing. Okay? What's the reality of working in this industry versus the fantasy of working in it? So if you are thinking about getting into this industry, this next episode is for you. So I will see you next week, and thank you so very much for coming. I appreciate it.